Hello, I'm Davia Chambers and this is Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're at the Tobago Art Gallery and a designing studio in Lowlands, the brainchild of artist Martin Superville. Martin opened this place in 1996. More than 10,000 pieces of art later, he's extended his portfolio to teaching visual arts, printing, photography, creating stage sets, personalized photos and postcards. Martin uses his portraits to document and showcase this island's culture and history. Today, that history is being shared with buyers in the UK, China, Japan, Africa, Australia, Russia, North, South and Central America. We'll tell you more about this art gallery and designing studio as the program continues. But first, a look at what's happening in our stories this week. Another Milshirv victory. The Integrity Commission halts its investigation into the matter on the grounds of insufficient evidence. Keeping Tobago safe, this island gets its own CCTV command center, and Sweden proposes to set up a consulate on this island.
Small bites equal major consequences. Protect yourself and your loved ones from mosquito-transmitted diseases such as dengue and chikungunya. Take these simple steps. Empty and clean water storage vessels and flower pots saucers regularly. Clear gutter and nearby bush which may harbor mosquitoes. Install mosquito screens on windows and at other entry points. Use mosquito nets, repellents, and wear long-sleeved clothing. Take action now. Small bites equal major consequences. A message from the Public Health Department. Telephone number 639-5294 or 639-1433.
This is Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us at Tobago Art Gallery and a designing studio in Lowlands, a place owned and managed by Martin Superville. Martin is a self-taught artist who started painting very early, from the age of 5 actually. He specializes in oil paintings and creates portraits that don't leave room for guessing who the subject matter is. He has in fact painted former Miss World Giselle Laurent West and was also commissioned by Angostura in the 1990s to capture the portraits of the company's directors. But outside of this gallery and Angostura's museum, you can also see more of Martin's work at the Magdalena Art Gallery. But let's leave it here for now to tell you about another victory for the Tobago House of Assembly in what's known as the Milshirv issue. As you may recall, on April 30th, a High Court judge ruled that the Assembly is legally entitled to enter a build-own-lease transfer or BOLT arrangement to construct the Milshirv complex. The issue had arisen because Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Attorney General Anand Ramlogan had questioned the THA's lack of cabinet consultation and approval. The Attorney General had also referred the matter to the Integrity Commission. But as Caroline Wallace tells us, the Commission has ended its investigation, citing lack of sufficient evidence.
Here are some of the contents of the letter from the Integrity Commission's Registrar, Martin Farrell.
Please be advised that the Integrity Commission conducted an investigation into this matter, and this is the Tobago House of Assembly's purported construction of the administrative office complex in brackets the Milshirv project. And the Commission ruled, having examined all the evidence and legal submissions made by the concerned parties, the Commission has determined that there are insufficient grounds for continuing this investigation.
This brings to an end another chapter in the Milshirv issue that had dominated the headlines in the run-up to the Tobago House of Assembly elections. Then it was suggested that the THA had acted improperly by entering into a BOLT arrangement to build the $143 million administrative complex in Chauvin. But as far as the Integrity Commission is concerned, the matter is now closed in accordance with the Integrity in Public Life Act.
Section 36 of the Act states, when during the course of an investigation the Commission is satisfied that there are insufficient grounds for continuing the investigation, or that the complaint is frivolous, vexatious, or not made in good faith, it may terminate the investigation.
And what's the takeaway from all this? The Chief Secretary says,
there are lessons which we would have learned from the exercise, and I think that it places us in a position where we could do things even better going forward. So that it was not a pleasant experience, but I think it was an experience that has been a learning process for us.
This is the second round of victory for the THA in the Milshirv issue. Earlier this year, the High Court ruled that the Assembly does not require the permission of the Minister of Finance to enter into special financing arrangements for its construction projects. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
But let's face it, the Milshirv project is but a creative solution to this island's budgetary shortfalls, and another area that continues to be underfunded by the central government is the housing sector. As of 2 years ago, in 2012, there were close to 4,500 applications for assembly-constructed houses. That number continues to rise. Thankfully, an international lending agency has stepped in and is partnering to provide the Tobagonians with solutions to this growing problem. The Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB, will play a major role in bringing a new initiative on stream next year for landowners. Keyshawn Wilson tells us more.
There is a new housing grant in Tobago. It allows for persons to receive up to $50,000 to construct a home. It's one of the new programs in the Division of Settlements and Labor for the new fiscal year.
We have one program that is being financed through an IDB loan to the central government. That's a new program, and that program we are now putting the final arrangements in place with the Ministry of Housing in Trinidad. So we'll roll that out hopefully by January 2015. The idea is that persons who are building a structure that's going to cost below $220,000, where the entire structure is going to cost below $220,000, there is the possibility of accessing this grant.
But there's an additional category in the program
that allows for persons who have existing property and who are willing to carry out an upgrade, given that they will meet the requirements within $250,000, they also can have access to it.
Qualified persons whose salaries are below $4,000 will receive the maximum amount of $50,000 and over $7,000 to $35,000. Applicants must be over the age of 18 and a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. It's just one way. The division is fulfilling its goal of providing Tobagonians with the opportunities available to acquire their own homes. I'm Keyshawn Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
Housing is just one of our basic needs. Without a doubt, no one wants to exist in a climate of crime and fear, especially in a destination that woos visitors with the promise of safety and security. But this can only be done if law enforcement has the tools they need to protect and serve. Well, part of their arsenal is a closed-circuit television or CCTV command center. Now, this center was previously located at TEMA's administrative building, but a decision has since been taken to move it to a space where the entire network can be monitored effectively. We attended the official opening, and here's a look inside.
Tobago's economy relies on tourism, and with the return of airlines like Virgin and Apollo, it's imperative that the safety of this island be preserved. And it will be, as Tobago now has a fully functional closed-circuit television or CCTV command center. Over 100 cameras on this island will be monitored from here.
The coverage of the new CCTV surveillance and command center is expected to be very effective, linked as it is to 187 high megapixel cameras, which have been deployed using international best practice and the Safe City deployment model. And moreover, in an effort to provide sustained coverage, the command center will be operated on a 24-hour basis and will be staffed by trained professionals.
Footage viewed in Tobago at this center will also be viewed in Trinidad at the National Operations Center simultaneously.
Given the importance of the CCTV network as a tool in aiding the TTPS in detection and bringing significant evidence to cases being tried in the courts of law, there is little doubt that it will serve to deter persons intent on perpetrating crimes.
The opening of the Commander Center is something the Tobago House of Assembly is in full agreement with.
The Tobago mantra originally was clean, green, and serene. And then some years ago, we added safe, because we recognize that it is the sun and sand and sea and the environment are not enough, because the experience that we wanted to market had to include peace of mind.
And that's exactly what the command center in Tobago promises both Tobagonians and visitors. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking a break, but do stay with us for details of a discovery made in Tobago. It's being described as a treasure trove for archaeological researchers.
A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. Make a home escape plan. Draw a map of your home showing all doors and windows. Discuss the plan with family members. Know at least 2 ways out of every room. Make sure all doors and windows leading outside open safely. Have an outside meeting place a safe distance away from your home where everyone should meet. Practice your home fire drill at night and during the day with everyone in your home at least twice a year. Practice using different ways out. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Today you're joining us at the Tobago Art Gallery and the Designing Studio in Lowlands. As we told you earlier, this place is managed and run by one of this island's most sought-after artists, Martin Superville. But what we didn't say is that he's also Tobago's only art dealer. Martin is also a lover of nature. It's the reason he has kept the surrounding trees whilst constructing the adjoining Treehouse Cafe and Restaurant, which is called the Callaloo Bowl. And although it's a food stop for visitors and fellow artists who usually pop in, the cafe has also been used for intimate weddings and dinners. And while we're on the topic of Martin making that decision to exist in harmony with the environment, let's tell you about some other Tobagonians who struck out and didn't take the safe route of an 8-to-4 job. They made huge sacrifices for the big payoff, and today their efforts have been publicly acknowledged and rewarded.
The night's biggest winner, rapid response security firm. They are the Chief Secretary's Par Excellence awardee, as well as the Trailblazer business. Scott's Photography and Anthea's Treasure Trove copped a number of prizes as well. Scott's Photography left with the Desmond Welch Vision Award and Excellence in Service, while Anthea's Treasure Trove won the Best Agro-Processor and Export Readiness Award. The most promising entrepreneur, though, is Charmin Springer of Springtime Foods. Other awards included Youth Entrepreneur, which went to Flavor Me Right, Innovation in Light Manufacturing, Rosie's Homestyle Bakery, Manufacturing and Woodworking, Classic Touch Upholstery, and Garment Manufacturing, We Designs. But the entrepreneurs didn't just walk away with a handful of material prizes. They also learned lessons which will take their businesses to another level.
Whenever you guys, ladies, gentlemen, entrepreneurs, come up with a value proposition with a product or service, and if it is not different, singular, unique, rare, difficult to imitate, exciting, if you don't have those characteristics within your value proposition, that means that you are competing.
He's urging the entrepreneurs not to follow the rules of the game, but to challenge each rule to become a global entrepreneur.
Whenever we choose to compete, we're accepting in a tacit way the rules of the game. And we know that there will be people that will be better and maybe worse than us. And it is a face-to-face competition. But entrepreneurs that actually have high growth potential, entrepreneurs that praise themselves to be unique, they choose not to compete. They choose to make their competitors completely irrelevant.
This was the 10th Annual Tobago Business Awards. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
But those big ideas and the desire to pursue entrepreneurial activity sometimes start at the community level with simple training programs. Tobago recognizes this and has been pushing to reach residents throughout the island. The idea is to equip them with the skills to become the owner of their own businesses or even a valuable employee. Omodara Mills has the story of this year's participants in the annual Vocational Skills Program.
Ballroom dancing is one of the 32 classes offered in the Vocational Skills Training Program. And at the awards ceremony, students proudly displayed their finished products in drapery and soft furnishings, mixed craft, glass engraving, and leather craft. One of the participants in the soap-making class, Ayana Webster-Roy, says that she's gained a lot from the classes she's attended.
Learning to do soap making has not only made me a more patient person because the process is time consuming, it has made me a more compassionate mother, a more compassionate leader. The energy, the love that goes into learning a craft, I've been able to transcend it into my communities.
Mrs. Webster-Roy is appealing to fellow participants to use their newly acquired skills and knowledge to help others.
We have now been given the opportunity to learn a skill you can apply to lifelong lessons, a skill you can apply to earning an income, a skill you can apply to helping your children to become better individuals, a skill you can apply to make yourself a better person.
The program, which has been facilitated by the Division of Community Development and Culture, ran from March to September of this year. This awards ceremony is the first in a series put on by the division as they seek to get Tobagonians certified in an effort to improve the quality of their lives. The ceremony also forms part of the activities for Black History Month. I'm Umar Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And while we're on the feel-good theme, let's tell you about what's being described as a big find in the field of archaeology. As you might know, back in 1677, there was a bloody fight in the waters of Scarborough Harbour. The exact location? Rockley Bay, the scene of one of the largest naval battles outside of Europe in the 17th century. Back then, many ships sank and thousands of lives were lost. But through a project started right here on this island, Tobago and the Caribbean region has a chance to dig deeper. The team has already made a number of significant finds, but it appears they've also found the final resting place of one of the Dutch ships.
After years of searching, a Dutch warship that sank over 300 years ago has been discovered in Tobago's waters. The ship may be the largest Dutch ship involved in the 1677 battle. The United States archaeologists who found the ship are part of the Rockley Bay Research Project team, supported by the Division of Tourism and Transportation and the University of Connecticut, and are led by Dr. Kroom Butcherov, who is quoted as saying, "What has been discovered is a treasure trove for archaeological researchers." The wreck site is known as TRB-5 and is a 45-meter-long pile of jumbled encrusted bricks, ballast stones, and artifacts. 7 cannons lie on top the ballast pile, and they will now use the wreck to gain information about the conflict and life aboard the 17th century ship. The Rockley Bay Research Project team will use cutting-edge technology to record the site of what's essentially a multi-phase investigation to find and study the remains of 16 vessels that were sunk in a fierce battle in Scarborough Harbour. Earlier this year, the team conducted a remote sensing survey in the harbour, where they picked up what they have described as promising signals. And since they are concerned with cultural preservation, once the artifacts are conserved, it's expected to be placed in the THA's conservation facility at the Scarborough Port or at the Fort King George Museum. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take another break, but coming up, a Swedish consulate for Tobago. If all goes well, this might soon be a reality. We'll tell you why on the other side. viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us. Today we're coming to you from the Tobago Art Gallery and the Designing Studio in Lowlands. This is the studio where Martin Superville creates his pieces, works which feature at his art shows and eventually become collector's items. Currently, 3 of his pieces now hang on the walls of Republic Bank's head office in Trinidad, and others can be seen not only at the Magdalena, but at other hotels on the island. But it's more than that. Martin's work is also a source of interest for tourists who come to this island and desire an experience that transcends the sand and the sea. But in addition to this island's points of interest, visitors would arguably feel much better if they knew there's a friendly face in the form of a consulate should they need one. And as Tobago builds its relationship with Sweden, there comes news that a diplomatic mission could be established here.
There are various consulates in this country, but almost all of them are based in the sister isle. There are none here in Tobago. This, however, may change. When the Chief Secretary met with Ambassador of Sweden, Klaus Hamar, he indicated his country's interest to open a consulate on this island.
The resumption of the Apollo flights to Tobago starting in a couple of weeks, bringing down about 200 people per week, and they will enjoy various things in Tobago. The government of Sweden would like them to make sure that this is a success and that it continues to be a success. And to facilitate that, I have asked at the national government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, to approve the establishment of a consulate here in Tobago.
The ambassador says a consul designate is already in place.
Mrs. De Silva is the consul designate for Sweden. It will take a few months before this is all settled and approved, but it will be a very significant step in improving the relations between the government of Sweden and Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly.
Diplomatic relations like the one Sweden wants to build with Tobago could only augur well for the island, especially with Tobago welcoming a significant number of tourists from that country. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
And perhaps some Swedish tourists may pay us a visit for the greatest show on earth, Tobago style of course. Beads and feathers are being glued on and costumes built in anticipation of Carnival 2015. Now admittedly, Tobago adds its own flair to the season, but what both isles have in common is the desire to ensure next year's celebrations are epic. Carnival 2015 in Tobago promises to be a stunning spectacle, from the steel band competitions, calypso shows, Juve, and the Tuesday Mass. Kishon Wilson tells us why.
New music is already out and the countdown is on for Carnival 2K15. On February 16th and 17th, masqueraders will take over the streets, parading to the sounds of soca. Tobago is ready, and they've launched the signal Tobago's Carnival. Mystical secrets unfold.
We feel that there are lots of secrets, particularly in Tobago, that have not really been brought out to the general public. Right? We know about mass and mass costumes and what will happen on the road. But there are things in Tobago that we still don't know about that's more heritage of Tobago. And we are hoping to bring these out through the mass costumes and the displays.
So Pan, Mass and Calypso fraternities have been meeting with the Carnival Committee to discuss how to improve their events.
Carnival 2014, according to the general feedback, was relatively good. There were some weaknesses and some shortcomings in terms of logistics. There were some weaknesses in terms of communication with the other interest groups. We have been looking at incentives by way of not prizes, but financial incentives. Early bird, it happens Juve morning with the steel bands. You come out early, there's a competition, and we pay extra, or there's some kind of financial incentive. You bring your band on the road early. And we are looking at other ways to bring all the bands on the street early.
And there's no carnival in Tobago without...
Please come to be a part of the Mud Yard experience in the museum day. See the ultimate crowning of Miss Mother Mud. And you can jump as a traditional character under the Bagatelle Dotticam banner. Last but not least, you can be a part of the phenomenon which is held on Carnival Tuesday annually, which is the greatest mud mass parade.
And all activities relating to Carnival will remain at the Center for Carnival, Carnival City, established last year for all things Carnival. I'm Keyshawn Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
And there's one aspect of Carnival and this island's culture that's nurtured throughout the year and in classrooms, the steel pan. But back in 2006, the pans at Goodwood High School were damaged. Since then, the school's orchestra has been making do with what they have. But that's now a thing of the past, and here's why.
These students no longer have to worry about playing defective instruments. The Goodwood High School now has 25 new pieces of steel pan instruments given to them by the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport.
If I were in a wedding of long time, I would say I am filled with philanthropic joy. To tell you the truth, I am so overwhelmed that even speech defies me, because we waited so long for this moment.
She says the instruments will be entirely utilized for competitions and classes.
I trust that Goodwood High School would make you proud, that the pans will not stay there unused and be like dinosaurs in this school. We are going to be using it and using it a lot. The pans are going to be there to educate. The pans will assist in the discipline of the students.
And the administrator in the division, Raphael Mitchell, is urging the students to use the pan to learn lifelong skills.
Discipline yourselves in using the instruments, and when you gain the discipline, the benefits of this training, this experience, we expect you to translate it in your lifestyles throughout the rest of your lives.
The Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport has been providing schools around the island with a national instrument to build patriotism and develop their talents. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have your say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, our viewers. Now, on November 13th, the Chief Secretary, along with the Executive Council, met with Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her cabinet here in Tobago. It was a first in many respects, but it was also in keeping with a commitment given by the Prime Minister when the two met last month. Coming out of that meeting, the Chief Secretary reported that the Prime Minister has agreed to discuss with her cabinet his proposal for a national discussion on internal self-government for Tobago. This issue has been high on the agenda every time the Chief Secretary meets with the Prime Minister, and he says Mrs. Persad-Bissessar has repeated her commitment to greater self-government for Tobago. So today we're asking, do you think Cabinet's decision to meet in Tobago with the Chief Secretary is a good signal for this island's autonomy? This is what you said.
It's a good thing for Tobago. They're going in the right direction right now. And because you can't do anything without proper discussion and meeting.
Yes, it was good that our Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, come over to Tobago and meet over in London face to face.
Yeah, I believe that would be a good thing. Yes, definitely.
Yes, for it benefit the country, it was a good. That's very good. That's very good.
Moving forward, that we could make plans towards the autonomy.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Remember, you can send us your comments or queries on anything you've seen in this program to information@tha.gov.tt or even visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Davia Chambers, and on behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, have a safe and enjoyable week. And as we go, let's leave you with some final images of the Tobago Art Gallery and the Designing Studio in Lowlands.